CROSSROADS Part 3. In Part 1 we started off with the Devil and Robert Johnson, and led us to the C diminished chord. We saw the C diminished chord went into 4 dominant 7 chords. Those 4 dominant 7 chords, when they overlap, gave us the half tone whole tone scale. In the second video we saw that the C diminished chord came from D flat harmonic major scale, and you could say that the D flat harmonic major scale came from the D flat major scale. So each of these things is like a progression. You can see, where you're going from, where you're traveling to. We're going to stick with a D flat major scale. Okay, so D flat major is D flat's your 1, E flat's your 2, F is your 3, G flat is your 4, A flat is your 5, B flat is your 6, C is your 7, D flat is your octave. Okay, so from the D flat major scale, we're going to take one note. That note is the 5th, and we're going to flatten it. And so that's going to give us this. D flat's the 1, E flat's the 2, F is the 3, G flat is the 4, A double flat is the flat 5, B flat is the 6, C is the major 7, and D flat is the octave. So what we got is a D flat major flat 5 scale. Basically that's just D flat major, which D is on the 11th fret on the 4th string, F is on the 3rd string on the 10th fret, A flat is on the 9th fret on the B string, and your little fingers on the 11th fret on the high E string. And then you just simply lower the 5th. So that major to the flat 5, I've heard Robin Ford do that, so that's pretty cool. So the next thing we want to do is the second mode of D flat major with a flat 5. So we're going to do the same notes but starting on E flat, and we get this. And that is your major blues scale. So there's one extra note, and that note is the flat 7. Which we know, like the major blues scale will often be played over a dominant 7 chord, which has got the flat 7. So once I'd found the major blues scale with a flat 7, we know that's coming from D flat major with a flat 5 is the parent scale, and this is the second mode. I thought, well, it's got to be the minor blues scale. So if we've got E flat major, its relative minor is C minor. And there it is. And the extra note on the minor blues scale is the flat 2. Okay, so C is the root, D flat is a flat 2, E flat is a flat 3, F is a 4, G flat is a flat 5, A double flat is a double flat 6, B flat is a flat 7, and C is the octave. Okay guys, so we're back to the sheet again. D flat major scale, just like before. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got all the stuff there. And we've got all the modes underneath. Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, etc. So we've got all that. Here's the new scale to compare. Always compare against the major scale so you can see what the alterations are. It's a major scale with one note difference. That's a flat 5 that I've indicated there. So obviously it's an Ionian flat 5, which makes it a Dorian flat 4, a Phrygian flat 3, a Lydian flat 2, a Mixolydian flat 1, or root, the root's flattened. That makes the Aeolian, the minor, has got a flat 7, and finally the Locrian has a flat 6. So this, the Locrian mode on the 7th degree of the scale, this is where we get the minor blues scale. Now we know that the Locrian, normal Locrian already has a flat 6 in it, and now this new scale is saying Locrian flat 6. So you double flat in the 6, so it's going to be a Locrian double flat 6 scale. So the D flat major with a flat 5 scale, the second mode of that is the Dorian flat 4, and that gives us this. The Hendrix chord again. So we had a Hendrix chord earlier on, and that was the Phrygian flat 4. This is the Dorian flat 4. So what scale do you play underneath this chord? Obviously you play the major blues scale, which is a Dorian flat 4 scale. So Dorian flat 4 is a major blues scale with the flat 7. So that's the... In this case, that's the scale that you would play under that chord. So it's important with these scales not to just look at it as a group of 7 notes, but also look at the chords within that. Like the 1, 3, 5 will give you the first chord, the 2, 4, 6 will give you the second, etc. And then you're going to start to see the relationships for this. If you just do the scales on their own, it really won't make that much sense. So back to our scale again, a D flat major with a flat 5 scale. We've obviously done the second mode gives us the major blues scale, and the 7th mode gives us the minor blues scale. But I'd like to look at the 6th mode now, which we know is the Aeolian. It's it would be in the normal major scale. It's just a regular Aeolian, regular minor scale. This one's a minor, but it's got a double flat 7, and I'll show you something about that that's I think is quite interesting. Okay, so we've got B flat minor, which is on the 6th degree of the scale. It has a double flat 7, a minor 6, a 5th, a 4, a minor 3rd, a 2, and the root. So we can look at this from like the B flat minor with a minor 6, flat 7, back to the minor 6, back to the B flat minor. But also you could think of that as the second chord being G flat major, the 3rd chord being E flat 7. But what's important is that you know what scale you can play under that combination of chords. I like to think of them as the James Bond chords. But what's interesting is, like I said earlier on, all 3 of these chords come from that scale. They produce G flat major, produces E flat 7. Well, we know the E flat 7 is actually, look at that. We got the Hendrix chord. There's the 9. There's the flat 3, there's the flat 4. So hopefully in those last couple of examples you saw how the chords came from the scale, they're constructed from the scale, and it's starting to introduce, you know, how they work together, and it's starting to make some sort of harmony ideas. And also if you needed to solo over that, you know one scale that you can use is the scale they actually come from, their parent scale. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, hopefully you can. We started off here with a C diminished, you know, the CROSSROADS chord. And we can see it came from this scale, which is a D flat major with a flat 6, or the D harmonic major. And we can see, you know, the idea here I'm trying to show you is that you've got the major scale, D flat major with a flat 6, D flat major with a flat 5. So there's a pattern forming here. And obviously each of these scales has got 7 notes, so each has got 7 modes, and each has 7 chords. And the thing to do is to go through and compare, always compare back to the major, you know, this is your major reference with all your chords, and then you're going to see the alterations to the other chords in these other modes. And in this last one we saw that we got the major blues scale on the 2nd degree, and we got the minor blues on the 7th degree. But I just want to try and show you, you know, all the comparisons, because this is how you're going to make the music, the modulation in the music is going to be interesting, is because you don't just stick in one mode or one scale. If you keep going backwards and forwards to different ones, you're going to have all these different chords, and you're going to have different places to go to musically. We didn't see any, you know, any references from Miles Davis or blues guitar players in this, but we did find the major and minor blues scales. We're still in pursuit of the blues, and this is clearly cool. We did find another Hendrix chord, so Hendrix is still in there. This one was different because this was a Dorian flat 4. The Hendrix chord before was a Phrygian flat 4, but you can see we're starting to see a pattern here, and I'm going to expand on that in some of the future videos. In the next video I'm going to return to the D flat harmonic major scale, you know, D flat major with a flat 6, because I want to show some things about the augmented chord, which is the second gateway chord from Pat Martino's approach. We looked briefly at the diminished chord that got us into this, and we're going to look at the augmented chord, and you're going to see some interesting things with that. So we didn't see Miles Davis, and we haven't seen the devil yet, although they say the devil's in the details. Was it lurking there? Have you seen it?